passing. Shut your mouth, broadcasting. First round draft pick. Believe we got stats, kid. Quarterback sacking. 100-yard dashing. So tap in for the action. What teams got traction?
Welcome to the Sim Podcast Show. I'm your co-host, Eric. And I'm always joined by my co-host, Ron. What up, Ron?
What's going on?
You know what we do? We do the National Football League on a weekly basis, including the playoffs. And this is a Sim Podcast Show. You don't know. And we just had week number 1. Ron, how do you feel about just this past week?
Well, my team lost, so I don't feel great about that. But it was a good week of football for sure. Ended great with our Monday night game. I'm glad football's back. Just ecstatic that it's back.
I'm happy finally, and we're just gonna dive into the elephant in the room. So we're gonna do NFL news. We're gonna do our week 1 reviews. We're gonna do our top 5 teams for week number 2, our predictions, and of course we always do the upset special. So Ron, you saw what happened Monday night, 9/11. Is this a New York thing? What happened?
I feel like they're cursed, man. That's the thing I was thinking, when Rodgers went down. I just couldn't believe it. I think the whole stadium was in shock. The announcers were in shock. All of New York, they were in shock. It was crazy. I felt, bad, to be honest. And I'm not a Rodgers fan or anything, but I felt bad that they put, he put all that work in, all the hype and, around, the Jets this year, the whole Hard Knock situation, and all in a blink of an eye, within 4 plays or whatever, it's gone. So that, that was disappointing, but I did appreciate that they didn't give up. Their defense held it down. Allen all over the place. We can talk about Josh Allen and his issues, but I'm impressed with how they handled it in game, how they adjusted and were able to bounce back and win the game. That's great. That's not easy when you experience like a loss like that.
Yeah, I had mixed emotions because the football fan in me was like, damn, Aaron Rodgers went down like that. And people can say, oh, was it turf or was his age, whatever the reason might be. That's not the way to exit a football game, right? On crutches,
right? Or
what, he was carted off. But then the Patriots fan in me was like, couldn't that happen to a worse franchise in the league? I mean, put your baskets all in one egg. Call him the GOAT during Hard Knocks, which I was not very appreciative
you
of.
took that person.
I took that person. I was like, the GOAT. He only won 1 Super Bowl. But whatever. This is just, it's good news basically for the Pats and even Miami, I would say. Because now, yes, like you mentioned earlier, they do have a very, very good defense. And they have offensive weapons. I mean, the way Brees was running the ball, I was just like, why didn't you just do that from snap number 1? Just give him the ball. But, I mean, what are you going to say? They won the game, ultimately. Josh Allen, how did Josh Allen look to you?
Not good. And I talked, I think, last week about how I think the Bills are going to take a step backwards this season. And because they put all their eggs in Josh Allen and they don't ever seem to have another answer outside of him. They did run the ball pretty well. And they stuck with it longer than I thought they would. But Josh made too many mistakes. And I think, he has games every now and then. I think last year he led the league in turnovers, and he's off to a bad start again this year. Not good if you're supposed to be one of the top, 3 quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah, because he did like a post-game interview, and he sounded like awful. He knew he cost his team the game, basically. 4 turnovers is just not going to cut it.
Right.
I mean, I know that I picked Buffalo as my division winner, and I'm not going to, pull the white flag yet. Same thing with the Steelers. I'm not going to pull the white flag yet, but things are not looking good for Josh Allen and the team. I mean, 16 points, you would expect them to score more than that, to be like in the 20s, high 20s.
Yeah.
This is just awful. This is just awful.
You know, I'll say this, Jets defense is great. Just, you know, and we'll talk about the Steelers game. 49ers defense is good too. Like, you know, when you start the first game of the season against a really, really good defensive team, first of all, defense usually play well the first few games because it takes a while for the offense to get going. It takes a couple games. You know, but for the Jets, you know, I think, you know, part of me feels like they'll still be okay, even with Zach Wilson at quarterback, because their defense is that good. And as long as he can keep the turnovers under control, they got to figure out pass protection too, you know, because it was a sack that led to Rodgers getting hurt. They got to be able to protect Wilson. They've been struggling in that area the last like couple of years with their pass protection. So, but I think if he can play okay, they can still make you know, a run for the playoffs. I'm not counting them out completely.
So you think that they're gonna stick with Zach Wilson the whole 16 remaining games?
Yeah, I don't even understand how that's a question. Like people who say, "Oh, you got to bring Brady," or I don't know, any quarterback you name it. I think they're just looking for clicks. I mean, you can't just guy. I don't care how good they are off the street, you know, and like teach them a playbook in a couple weeks with new players and stuff like that, and expect them to be able to, you know, it would take thrust one in right now. I don't care who it is. It's going to take them 6-7 weeks. They weren't there for all of preseason or anything like that. So why would you do that? You have Zach Wilson as your backup. I would assume you did that because you trust him in the event that something happens to Rodgers, where, you know, now it did. So you got to be able to, like, you know, stick with it and let's see what happens.
I don't think you can roll the dice like that, because when I look at who the Jets are facing next week, the Dallas Cowboys, do you think they win that game?
In Dallas, no, I don't. You know, I don't. No, I don't. But I don't necessarily. I wouldn't have necessarily automatically given them a win in Dallas with Rodgers, anyways. You know, can they win? Yes, their defense is good enough. You maybe force Dak into a couple turnovers, something like that. And if Zach stays clean, yeah, why not? Maybe you can pull off an upset there. But
they got the Cowboys. Then they have the Patriots, which we know maybe they can win that game. Then they have the Chiefs. Then
they had a tough schedule to begin with, right?
That's what I mean. It's like, are you gonna go 1-3, maybe 2-4, because you decided to stick with Zach Wilson? Because I mean, the window is so short.
Who are you bringing in that's going to be better than 2-4?
No, I'm just saying.
Whoever you bring in is going to be Owen.
Listen,
right?
I'm just saying
6.
You have to have a plan B. You can't just say, "Oh, Zach Wilson's that man."
If we are here in week 2 and you haven't figured out if Zach Wilson is your plan B, shame on you, shame on your GM, because the preseason is all about getting the best 53. In case someone goes down, you got somebody behind them that you trust. And if you didn't do that and you never have faith in Zach Wilson, then it's your damn fault. You deserve to lose. I'm going to have the same conversation when we talk about the Steelers with Cam going down, Deontay going down. The guys behind them better step up, right? They made the 53 for a reason.
But this is the thing, is that they didn't know that Rodgers was going to go down in week 1. That's what I'm saying.
But they
thought that they were going to get at least 2 years out of Rodgers.
Yeah.
And in those 2 years, they were like, you know what? Zach Wilson will learn from Rodgers, tutelage, 2 years max. Maybe we win a Super Bowl. Maybe we become playoff contenders. But now, I just don't know if you can do it with Zach Wilson. I'm not saying that
he's been there
gonna be
for
replaced.
like 2 years, right?
He knows the offense.
Yeah.
He knows the offense.
Yeah.
But just because you know the offense doesn't mean you know how to play.
Yeah, can you execute? Well, you know, I don't think he played that bad. You know, week 1, I think let him get in there. He said that he's the starter. Let him get some practice reps, you know, with the ones. He didn't do that all preseason, I don't think. I think he'll be okay. The guy was chosen first round for a reason. It's not like has no talent. He has talent. It's just about his development. It was about his certainly his maturity over the last couple of years. There were questions about that. Maybe he's fixed those things. You got to give people a chance to grow up. Maybe he's grown up a little bit. Let's see how he does.
I just feel like the next 6 games, they might just win 2 games.
Yeah,
because they have the Eagles after the Broncos.
Yeah, it's a tough schedule.
It's a tough schedule. Why? Because whoever did the schedule, they were like, oh, they got Aaron Rodgers. We got to put him on prime time. We got to put him on prime time against another team.
Yeah.
And look.
Yeah.
So
that's how the chips fall, man.
Yeah, that's tough. All right, so let's do our week 1 reviews, because we actually let me just tell people, because we haven't actually made the official announcement. We are gonna roll out a new show. We're still gonna keep this one, but we're gonna roll out a new show. So we're gonna be doing this twice a week. It's called the Instant Reaction Report. Excuse me. It's gonna be hosted either Sundays or Mondays. This one we're doing like a hybrid one because our teams are playing different days, but we're gonna post it every Sunday night. It's gonna call the Instant Reaction Report. It's gonna be me and Ron, but mostly Ron because I have other responsibilities, obligations. Yes, but be on the lookout for that. 2 shows coming up. Instant Reaction. Okay, enough said. So let's go to week number 1. Ron, what games jumped out at you where you were like, oh, this team is actually good, or oh, this team is actually bad?
I don't know if there were any surprises, to be honest with you. I thought the teams that won, I expected them to win, and for the most part, they played well. The teams that lost, like Cincinnati, I expected them to play bad. They started bad last year. You had a quarterback that didn't play at all, coming off an injury. You're going to look bad against a good opponent. So I wouldn't say that anything really surprised me other than how poorly the Steelers played. For the most part, I think everything went as I expected. We can, I don't know if you want to go through power rankings now, or if you want to save that for later, but not much changed. But I don't want to spoil it. I'll save that for later. But I think for the most part, everything I expected happened week 1.
I think there were two games that kind of jumped at me that, excluding our upset specials, it was that Rams-Seattle game. I was kind of shocked at how well the Rams offense looked, because I thought they were going to be bad, but they were actually serviceable. So maybe the Rams can be a little bit frisky this year. Again, this is just week 1 reactions. And then the other game that I was kind of like, oh, wow, this team might actually do some damage is, the Green Bay, which I picked to win this division. And Green Bay came out, even though it was Chicago, but they won. The Vikings lost. So maybe they can give Detroit, some action, some challenge. So those 2 games, those were the only 2 games that really kind of jumped out at me.
Jordan Love has played well, from the preseason to week 1. I think they're going to be okay. I think they're going to be a good, pretty good team. And I think Jordan Love can be that franchise quarterback that they're looking for. I am impressed by Green Bay, but I'm not crowning them yet.
No, I'm not counting them, but I did pick him to win that division because Dan Campbell, I know he has a lot of hype. He hasn't shown me anything yet. All right, so Ron, what are your top 5 teams for week number 2?
Let's talk about top 5 teams for week 2. I have, let's see. I just want to make sure I give you the right one. So Eagles number 1, 49ers number 2, Lions number 3, Dolphins 4, Ravens 5. For the most part, pretty similar to what I had last week. The exception is, and I think I see that you have the same thing, is Chiefs dropping out of our top 5. So with that loss on Thursday to Detroit, I had them falling out and then I had Lions moving up for the most part.
I mean, the only difference is you have the Ravens and I have the Miami, but I would have put the Ravens in there, but I just feel like playing Houston Texans, I mean, that's a beat.
Yeah.
I don't think that was as much as a challenge as playing the Chargers. So that's the only reason why I put Miami in there. But I mean, AFC teams this week 1, they look very weak.
Oh yeah. So you had two teams that dropped out, right? You had the Bengals dropping out of your top 5, it looks like, and then you also had the Chiefs dropping out.
Yep.
Your top 5. So I didn't have the Bengals in my top 5 to begin with. Yeah, and I'm comfortable with saying I don't think they'll finish in the top 5 at the end of the season. I think I underestimated the 49ers. I didn't have them in my top 5 last week. I got them number 2 this week.
Yeah, I would say that those Kittle might not play rumors were untrue. I didn't do my research right before the game started, and basically everybody was ready to go.
Yeah.
So, all right. So let's quickly review the Steelers game, because before we make our predictions, what happened? What happened to the Steelers that they basically gave up?
They got taken to the shed and got beat down. They started the game off poorly with multiple 3-and-outs, and he took a little bit of a shot. Questions about whether or not he was concussed or whatever, but he was off the entire game. And defensively, we were awful. We couldn't stop McCaffrey. Now, he had one big run, take that away, probably had 80 something yards or so, but you still got to control him a little bit better. We could not play any pass defense on Ayuk at all. He had a couple players slipping, like Patrick Peterson, slipped, gave up the first touchdown or whatever. It was just, it was a hot mess.
Are you a Brock Purdy believer now?
I am, to be honest with you. Last year I was like, is this for real? Is this kind of like a Cinderella thing? Is it just a matter of like the teams that he was playing? And it felt like last year he was just running around making plays, not playing within the system. This game, the dude didn't leave the pocket. He stayed within the pocket, and then when he had to shift within the pocket and make throws, he made some damn good throws. He is better than I thought, and I need to give him more credit. He's a damn good quarterback, and he was a 5-year senior or something like that, and he was a senior starter, so it shouldn't really be that surprising. Quarterback coming, as a senior, played all 4 years or whatever, and played in a pro system as well. Shouldn't be that surprising that they were able to have this amount of success.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way that the Steelers are going to win this game given 188 yards rushing compared to 41. But again, this is 49ers defense, who basically the number one, right? There and Dallas, that basically the best defense about. The way the Eagles, and we'll get to the Eagles pass game, it looked like if you have played good D on Hurst, he won't know what to do with the ball. So if San Francisco had a little bit of a quarterback last year, they would have. I think they would have won that championship game, because they look unbeatable. I mean, they look good.
They
look
did.
Really good.
Their defense is unbelievable, and Purdy is a really good quarterback. Now, I don't want to sleep on the Eagles too, and I know for them, I thought I don't know if you want to jump right into it, but I thought the Patriots game was going to be a close game. What was my prediction? I had for week 1, I had Philly winning 23-20. They ended up 25-20. So I thought it was going to be a close game. I thought the Patriots defense would do a pretty good job, which they did. And I thought the offense would be able to score some points, which they did. I think I'm not going to be thrown off by week one and how close this game was. The Eagles are a legit team. And, I think they are still going to take the NFC.
I think, I picked them as my Super Bowl winner, but we do have the right to change our picks midway through the season. But I really like what they did as far as, the offense is concerned in the first quarter, but then they only scored 9 points the rest of the game. So for 3 quarters, they were not that good. And Hurst turned the ball over on a fumble. I mean, basically, they're beatable. That's what I'm trying to say. But if you have that right game plan, they're beatable.
Them or how good the Patriots defense is, or a combination of both?
To me, it was a combination of both. Is that they're beatable, and the Patriots defense is actually a pretty good defense.
And it's still week one. So,
and listen, if you have a coach that makes the adjustment, great.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think that last year they got up on teams and they just ran the clock.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see them falling behind what they're going to do.
Right.
Because to me, that's when the challenges come in. That's when you find out if this team is good or not. Again, Patriots, they were all over the place at the first quarter. It was wet. It was rainy. Not that that's an excuse, but if you take out the first quarter, Mac Jones was great. Over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. I mean, that's a damn good quarterback.
Yeah, well, the running game struggled, and as expected, though, the Eagles' run defense is really good.
Yeah, it's really good. So I wasn't surprised by that. I was more surprised by the fact that the game was winnable. It came to a catch on 4th down. He didn't make it. He didn't put his foot in. The game's over. But just the fact that they were in it, I don't want to say it was a moral victory because, Bill Belichick said, you are what your record shows.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a lot. So they just didn't have enough. All right. So let's quickly go into our predictions. And Ron, we're going to go to week number 2.
Wait. Upset special. What's that?
You want to go to upset special?
From last week.
Oh, from last week.
Yeah.
Yes. Ron, who did you pick as your upset special?
Yeah, I want to get credit for this. So I told you that Tampa was going to go into Minnesota and win. I had the score. My prediction was 24-23. I think the spread was 5.5. And Baker Mayfield did it, right? He did what I thought he would. And the defense for the Tampa Bay played pretty well. And they were able to go in and win 20-17. So I'm going to give myself a pat on the back calling that one because I thought it was going to be a little bit of a stretch. You asked me if I would put money in that game. I said I'd probably throw $50 or so. I wish I did throw $50 on that game because I would have been $50 richer right now.
Yes, you would have. And, when I saw the highlights for that game, the Tampa Bay still has a good defense. And Todd Bowles still has, technically he's a defensive coach. And I just thought, if Baker Mayfield can be serviceable, they can give the Saints a run for their money in that division.
Yeah,
so
it's up for grabs.
Yeah,
Like I said, I don't think any team is running away with it. Why not Tampa? That's how I'm looking at it.
Because there was some minor changes, but other than the quarterback, it's basically the same team.
Right. Exactly.
And now you got an angry Mike Evans. It's a recipe for success.
Exactly.
I went with the Raiders Broncos. Raiders won. It was close game. But then, what did you think about that onside kick on the first play of the game?
I don't know. I don't know if I like that at all. It's one thing to say you're going to be aggressive or whatever, and another thing just to throw it away. That was a good call by you. I'll give you credit. I don't know. What does this say about the Broncos? That's what I want to know. How good are they going to be? That's the question I think I have.
Well, I told you that they were not going to be that good.
Yeah.
And that's why I was like, Broncos, Patriots are going to beat the Broncos. They're just not ready. And I feel like Wilson's still hasn't caught that magic that he had with Seattle. He's still looking for it, or maybe he lost it completely. I don't know. Sean Payton knows, because when the draft, if he drafts a quarterback, then you know Wilson is not going to.
Right.
So, okay. So let's move on to week 2 predictions. Ron, we got Miami at New England. It's a 2.5 underdogs for New England. What do you give the score?
Miami, I got the division. They looked pretty impressive this past week, facing a pretty good Chargers team. I see them going in and beating New England 27-21 is what I have as a score. I honestly think it might get worse than a 6 points. It's not like the Eagles team where you got good receivers, but they're not like running like right past you. This is like a track that you're facing. Can Gonzalez, who's your other cornerback, Jackson or whoever, can they keep up with Waddle and Tyreek Hill? I don't know. I don't think so. And I got the Dolphins winning 27-21.
Well, they interviewed Sirianni post game, and they asked him, why did the Eagles score more points than they did? He said that the Patriots defense kept everything in front of them the whole game. I feel like they're going to use that same tactic with Miami. Don't give up any home runs. Don't give up any long passes. Everything in front of you. So I do see that, working for Miami. And I feel like we have a better front seven than Miami. That's why I got them winning. And I have Miami winning the division. I'm not seriously. I have the Bills. But now that the Jets are basically, in my eyes, are out of it, it's going to be between Miami and New England to win a walk-on spot.
Wow. Breaking news.
Oh, yeah.
So you got the Jets completely out.
Yep.
And you're replacing them
with
Miami. So, or the Patriots.
Oh, the Patriots. I feel like.
So, first of all, you still got the Bills winning, just to make sure. But for another playoff spot, this is what we're talking about. It's either Miami or the Patriots.
I feel like what I saw on Sunday, in person, by the way, on the rain, I feel like it's worth an extra victory. So I know that I said they will go 9-8, but they wouldn't make the playoffs. I think that they can win 10 games. I think with this team, this new offensive coordinator, and the fact that, Mac Jones got rid of the ball really, really fast. Last year, he was holding on to the ball for why?
Yeah.
Why? Oh, because your receivers were running some crazy. I don't know. I feel like there is at least one more victory worth.
Is this a must win for the Patriots?
It's a must win because it's a division game.
Yeah.
And you don't, that's.
And you'd be 0-2.
Yes.
Right?
No, because they lost against the Eagles, but that's just out of conference.
Right.
I'm just saying, you got to win your division first. That's number one. Even if you go 8-8, those 8 games were against division opponents, you're good.
Yeah.
So I think they need to win this one to at least be in the hunt.
Right.
We already know Buffalo lost.
Yeah.
So I feel good about this game. Sunday night game, I feel good about it. And on top of that, they're going to be wearing my favorite jerseys, which is with the Pat logo. So I like this game. I picked them to win.
Okay. All right.
Ron.
That's an upset.
Yeah, that is an upset. But it's not over 3.5. So I think it's my upset special. Ron. Cleveland at Pittsburgh. Underdog. Again. The second game. What did you pick as a final score?
This is a must win. You cannot go 0-2. And more importantly, I don't think you can allow the Browns to go 2-0 in the division because they beat Cincinnati last week. So to me, this is a must win for the Steelers. I think Kenny and the offense will rebound. This is not going to, Cleveland, I don't want to underestimate their defense. They're good, but they're not the 49ers. I think offensively we'll do much better than we did. And defensively, we'll play a lot better too, even without having Hayward.
Deontay Johnson's going to be out.
Even without Deontay out, for the next 3-4 weeks, however long it takes, I think other guys will step up. We'll find a way because it is a must win. And I got the Steelers winning 20-17 in a close game.
Yeah, another upset. I actually have Cleveland winning 24-14. I think, and you know me, I don't like the Browns at all. I don't like defending Watson at all. I picked the Steelers to win that division, but I just feel like their offense hasn't gotten going. And, I bought into the whole preseason. Oh, they're good. They won all their games and blah, blah, blah. And I bought into that. And I never, ever go by the preseason. And it's just like the same thing happened. Slow start. The offense is not there yet. Maybe it'll be in a couple games. I just don't see it. I hope I'm wrong, but I have Browns winning 24-14. I think 2.5 is close enough, but I got to see more from the offense. I got to see more, and I got to see more from the defense. I mean, you can't give 158 yards rushing, even if it was just one play.
Yeah, if Nick Chubb goes off, game's over. That is the offense of Cleveland, right? Deshaun did not play well. He threw for 150, 1 touchdown interception, sacked 3 times. He didn't play particularly well. If we can just keep him in the pocket, I think they got a new tackle. They're tackled now for the season. So they got the rookie playing against TJ Watt, who had 3 sacks last week. Sign me up. TJ's going to go off again. Highsmith hopefully can get involved. Sign me up for the pressure, against Deshaun Watson. Now, can we stop Nick Chubb? That's going to be the question. That dude kills us, almost every time we play him. So he kills everybody. He's just a really good running back. So if we can control him, we can win this game. And I think, like I said, it's a must win at this point, not just for us, not falling in a hole 0-2, but you do not want to let Cleveland get 2-0 in the division. I think we'll pull it out.
I mean, Deshaun passed for a TD and ran for a TD, and they racked up 206 yards rushing. I mean, the Bengals defense is not a world class, but I just feel like that game they dominated. Joe Burrows, of course, didn't play at all in the preseason, so he was off. But I want to see more from the Steelers. That's why I don't believe that they'll have enough on the offense. Defense, it's fixable, right? I hope it's fixable. The offense, I want to see more. Matt Canada, if you're listening, I want to see more. Who do you have as your upset special, Ron?
So I'm going right back to Cincinnati. Their favorite 3.5. It's still early in the season for me. I don't think Burrow all of a sudden the light bulb's going to go on. It's going to click. I think the Ravens are going to go into Cincinnati. Ravens again are my team to win a division. They're going to pull off an upset. I got 24-21. Lamar Jackson, that team going off and getting another win.
Yeah, I see Cincinnati losing this game. I just don't think that they're ready. I don't think Joe Burrows is ready. And it's just like last year where they were late to the party, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm going to go with Washington at Denver. Denver is actually favored by 3.5. Washington, it's patched together, but I just don't believe Denver has it.
Right.
I feel like you can keep betting against Denver and you'll be fine. Until they show me something, I got Washington winning 24-17.
Okay.
Yep. That is my upset special for the week. And we just started raining, so maybe it's time for us to shut it down. Ron, what do you say to the crowd out there?
Thanks again for all the support. All Steelers fans that are listening, keep the faith. Don't give up. We got this week. Same with the Patriots. If you're a Patriots fan, season's still young. You guys can do it. Thanks again.
Before we go, I know we were recording this on Wednesday. who do you have for Thursday game? It's Vikings at Philly.
Taking Philly.
Yeah.
I think the Vikings play better though. Again, they don't want to go down 0-2, but I got Philly.
You got Philly?
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Philly too. I think that I don't trust the Vikings, even though they got a new defensive coordinator.
Yeah, Flores did good.
It is Brian Flores, but I just feel like there's not enough talent on the team.
Right.
So I pick the Eagles too. And with that I say peace.
Peace.
Hey guys, thanks again for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Any questions or comments, feel free to hit us up on shutyourmouthpodcast@gmail.com. That's shutympodcast@gmail.com. You can also hit us on Twitter or on Instagram at SYM Podcast. Thanks again.